Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video I want to introduce you to a new platform that I just learned about called Data Fetcher. Now in the past I've done some videos on Airtable. It's a platform I like. I use for pretty much a lot of my freelancing. I use it for a lot. I use it to keep track of a lot of things at my full-time job, which is being an instructor for General Assembly. It's a pretty awesome platform, and what this Data Fetcher tool does is that it makes the platform even more awesome. And how does it do that? It allows you to, it uses a very Postman-like interface. So if you're a programmer, you're probably familiar with Postman for testing APIs and different types of HTTP requests. But what it does is it's going to allow you to make requests to pull data from your to your Airtable, or to take data from your Airtable and like post it to a request, which is super cool. Okay, so let's just kind of show you the ins and outs of this. So essentially it's pretty easy to install. You just click like install on Airtable, which you then would log into your Airtable account and choose which Airtable to install it on. I've already installed it on a sample one that I've made, but the only thing you have to keep in mind is that this is considered an Airtable application, and you do have to have a pro workspace to be able to use apps, Airtable apps. Okay, so do keep that in mind. But once you do, you install it, and then you have it here among your apps. So again, you can turn, I can unhide my apps. There's my apps. Again, I can add other apps. Again, you can add as many apps as you pretty much want once you have a professional workspace, which does have a fee attached to it. Now, basically the way it works is that you just create requests. So you basically, here we have Data Fetcher installed. I'll click on create a request, and let's just use a JSON placeholder. JSON placeholder.com. Just a standard place with dummy endpoints to practice. So let's use this one, /albums. Okay, and you see like here's like a whole bunch of different albums. So these are the titles of the albums, their ID number, and like the user whose album this belongs to. Okay, so we'll take this as our endpoint. So we'll just, it'll just be called request one. I can choose what kind of method I want. Nice. I can put the URL here. Now if I want to inject information from my Airtable, like maybe I have data in my Airtable I want to inject in the URL, I can go grab that using this little icon over here. Okay. If you need to inject any headers, any URL parameters, anything in the body of the request, whether it's URL form encoded data or JSON data, you just enter it there. And again, you can use variables from your Airtable. That's super cool. But here we're just making a straight up get request. We're just going to get these albums here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get these albums, and we're going to put them into a table. So I'm going to make a new table here. So create an empty table, just like table 2. Okay, I'm going to delete pretty much all the fields here. It's going to create new fields for me. Okay, and if you do hear a bird in the background, that is my cocktail Wally, who is out for the day, out and exploring. Okay, now as I move on, basically what you do is that after we've kind of set our URL endpoint, what we do is we're going to choose an output table, like what table do you want the data to show up in. Okay, so I'm going to choose table 2. And then it chooses output view, which right now I've only really used grid view, so I'm assuming it's going to show me a view after the fact. Let me see what happens if I try something else. Let's say Kanban. No, not Kanban. Let's do a gallery. Okay, gallery. Now let me choose the gallery. Yeah, let me choose the gallery, and let's see what the end result is. Okay, and then here you have different write modes. So if you want if you want the results to be added to your existing data, you'd use append. If you wanted to overwrite and just replace the data you have, you would do overwrite. And if you wanted to kind of like reconcile and update matching records, like if they have the same ID or something like that, you would use update. So that way it updates the data in your database. Whichever you feel like using. I'm going to just overwrite. I'm just going to add this data in there. Okay, and then response field mapping. So what this is going to do is that it does, basically it's doing like a soft query of the API to kind of figure out what the field. So now, so basically it looks at the the data I got. So it notices that, hey, look, there's all these things in the array have a user ID property, ID property, and a title property. So it gives me a list of all of them. I can like say, hey, I don't want any of them to start off with, and just check the ones that I want. Okay, or if I wanted all of them, I can click keep all. Okay, in this case, I will keep all. And then I can specify, like, it'll by default try to pick up on like what type of field it is, whatnot. I can sit there and say, hey, use an existing field by clicking here and specifying an existing table field. Or I can say create a new field, and it'll create a new field of this type to put that data in. So that's that. Okay, and so it's creating the fields right now in that table. Okay. And if you need OAuth for the particular API you're using, you can use that here. Okay, you just click like add, and it'll ask you for details. Okay, and then as a paid feature, you can actually schedule. So imagine like, you know, you use Salesforce, and you want to make sure you update all sorts of like sales data. In here, you could schedule like once a night, like at the end of like business hours, that it goes in there, hits those Salesforce API endpoints, pulls in that data, populates an Airtable, so that way you can take advantage of like automations on Airtable, whatnot, features on Airtable that might be unique to Airtable, or views that are only on Airtable, so that way you can see that data in different ways and keep the data in sync. That's pretty cool. Okay, and then here's some advanced stuff. Update based on a particular field, pagination, all sorts of other cool stuff there. Okay, but let's run this. So basically what should happen is that it should run, get the data, and I should see some new gallery cards here with all the data. So running a quest is always going to warn me when I'm going to do an overwrite, because I could accidentally override my existing data if I had any. And I hit run. Now it's grabbing all the records, as you can see here. It's grabbing all the records. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here on customize cards. I want to see the data that I got. And you can see, look, it got the user ID, and title for all of them. Okay, nice. So it worked. Okay, now I can go to the grid view, and I can see like, hey, look, there's all the data just there added. And now what I can do is, like, let's say I wanted to create a gallery here, and I want to filter it, but just say, hey, just show me the things that are from user 1. I can be like name contains, user ID is user 1. And now I only see the things where it's user 1 albums, or I want to see like user 2. I change it to user 2. Okay, so then you can just kind of use Airtable the way Airtable works on the data once it's there. So that's the great thing about Data Fetcher. You can get the data over here, get it in the format that you want, and then do all that cool Airtable magic, whether it's like using automations. Okay, as we see here, like, you know, basically you have an automation that posts to Twitter. So imagine that it grabs maybe like details from a marketing CRM, where basically, you know, all these tweets that are supposed to show are like, imagine like your marketing team has a spreadsheet of tweets that they want to put out at certain times. Okay, Data Fetcher at the end of the night goes and grabs all the updated records from that spreadsheet. Okay, the date and time is in one field, gets entered as a date and time here, and then you have an automation that says that's actually posts the tweet based on the scheduled time from Airtable. You can do pretty cool stuff like that. Okay, so this really opens up a new world of possibilities. So this is Data Fetcher. Again, it's just datafetcher.io. Do subscribe to their YouTube channel. I think they have a YouTube channel linked somewhere here. They definitely have a YouTube channel. The question is, where is it linked? But yeah, I'm going to probably be contributing some videos to that YouTube channel, showing some really cool ways you can use this platform. So do subscribe to that YouTube channel, so that way you can learn other cool applications of using this tool, datafetcher.io. And then again, here's the pricing if you decide you want to do one of the upgraded things. But again, initially it's free, and you can do some pretty cool stuff with it. Only catch is, again, applications on Airtable do require a pro workspace. Which is pretty affordable if you're the only person on the workspace. So one of the great ways to kind of work around that is, you know, your workspace is yours, and then you use things like forms and whatnot to allow your team to kind of interact with it. And then again, if your team is using some other platform, whether they're using Trello or they're using Salesforce or Pipedrive or any of these kind of CRMs or project management tools, you can pull that data in via Data Fetcher, which is super powerful, super cool, and then you can take advantage of really those powerful Airtable features. But my name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Make sure you join the Slack and Discord channel over there at devnursery.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and all that cool stuff. Have a great day and enjoy.